Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today we've got an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use in Battlefield 5. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapon, accessories, potentially role you'd like me to run with in Battlefield 5, and I'll pick one of the top rated comments for next week's episode. Normally we run this show on Mondays, but we got a little mixed up with the New Year scheduling and whatnot. By the way, Happy New Year. Hope you guys had a good New Year celebration and you're looking forward to 2019. Now today's top comment comes from Philip Apo, who says the 101st Airborne weapon is the M1A1 Carbine, the sidearm 1911, frag grenades, the Piat, and some sticky dynamite. He then goes on to say you are a member of the 101st Airborne Division, an elite paratrooper. Your mission is simple: drop behind enemy lines, capture vital points, and fortify positions for your team. Also remember, rendezvous with destiny. Now, the significance of that saying right there is actually the motto of the 101st Airborne, which is an interesting motto considering you are jumping out of an airplane with a parachute, generally speaking into enemy territory or a place that you need to fortify, and you don't necessarily know what's going to happen to you once you hit the ground. So very much so a rendezvous with your own destiny, so to speak. Now, the M1A1 is specifically designed as a paratrooper weapon, and it's one of the few American weapons that made it into Battlefield 5 for launch, which is interesting considering that the Americans are not part of any of the battles that actually take place in Battlefield 5 so far. So we do have some American weapons, and you can actually purchase a few American skins like pit crew and stuff to make your soldier look a little bit more Americanized, but I imagine we're getting a lot of the American stuff added to the game a bit later. But you can still use the Thompson and the M1A1. Everybody, of course, wants that M1 Garand, but the M1A1 is a cool carbine weapon. It's a very, very fast-firing 450 round per minute semi-auto rifle. So if you're the kind of player who loves to click fast or can click fast while maintaining good accuracy, then this might be the weapon for you. It's got incredible accuracy at medium and even longer ranges, so it's not really limited too much by distance aside from its damage drop-off. In close quarters, it's a 4-shot kill, and as you start pushing that range out further, it gets down to 5-shot kill and less at further ranges. I messed around with a lot of different optic options. The iron sights, as cool as they are in terms of authenticity, are pretty tough to use with this weapon. They give you a 1.5 times magnification, which is a little bit better than this reflector sight here, but it obstructs a little bit too much of your vision, and I found it hard to track my targets. The problem is if you need to hit your enemy 4 to 5 times to bring them down, well, then the iron sights are going to be not a great optic because it's hard to track. You need something that can track better. So the yellow dot or the reflector sight is significantly better for that, and also the 3 times optic works decently well depending on the map that you're playing on. Now, I'll be the first to admit that spam fire weapons or weapons that you need to click really fast, really rapidly while maintaining accuracy are not really my forte. I stopped playing Diablo games because I just started to get a lot of pain in my hands when playing games that required a lot of clicking, really fast, rapid fire clicking. I mean, you know, Battlefield in general requires a lot of clicking, but not quite like using weapons like the M1A1. That requires a lot of clicking, a lot of firing, and it's just not particularly my playstyle. So when I see really good players spamming this weapon at its maximum rate of fire as fast as they can click, and then comparing it to how fast I click, I think, yeah, you know what, this weapon is as good as it is and as fun as it is, isn't really my weapon personally. But in the right hands, it can be incredibly powerful. Hell, in my hands, it's actually still pretty damn good. I was topping servers, getting incredible KDRs. This is not a weapon to be underestimated in any case, and I doubt you guys are. You're probably dying a lot to the M1A1. It's insanely accurate, and you'll be dead on the ground before you even realize what's happening to you, especially if your opponent can aim for the head, mix a headshot or two in there. You'll be down in just a few shots before you have any chance to react. Now we're getting a lot of that crazy tree animation. I think that's partially due to the fact that we're running with the Piat rocket launcher and I'm making use of it here. I think different explosive devices set those trees into that crazy wobble animation that looks absolutely ridiculous. Oddly enough, that animation wasn't bugged out in the game when Battlefield 5 launched. DICE somehow managed to patch that in, so hopefully they can unpatch it with the next major update to the game. Now, as for specializing the M1A1, this is what I used for creating this video here. I've jumped around a lot with the M1A1 trying to figure out what I like the most. This setup here doesn't work poorly. This is more of an aggressive but also adaptive playstyle, lesser recoil, the ability to move around and shoot accurately, and a little bit of extra hipfire accuracy. You can get an extended mag, bumping this up to, I believe, 31 shots per magazine, which does sound very tempting, but you have to give up some pretty good upgrades in order to get that. Something to be played around with perhaps for a future video. Now, the Piat rocket launcher is ridiculous. It's like grenade launcher level ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have caught on, but that frag grenade rifle is like a one-shot kill with its splash damage, which is insane. I mean, you can get 3 bangs with that thing. Totally nuts. The Piat is in a similar realm. It sort of reminds me of the Carl Gustav from Bad Company 2, this weapon that could just blow up walls and anybody hiding behind it was dead from the splash damage in one hit. It was overpowered to say the least. It kind of rewrote the definition of what overpowered weapons could be in Bad Company 2. This Piat is not quite as overpowered as the Carl Gustav, but it does remind me a lot of it just because of its insane splash damage. It's not the weapon you want to take in a battle if your specific goal is fighting vehicles. It's not to say it can't deal decent damage to vehicles, but it's got such a intense drop-off that it's mostly effective at like shooting into windows or shooting at infantry for getting the splash damage kills and taking out a vehicle in a pinch when they get a little too close. Now, of course, the Piat is not an American weapon. It is a British weapon. The Americans would have had the bazooka. Sadly, the bazooka is not in the game yet, but I do hope it will show up in the game with the American DLC or the American expansion that's coming for this game eventually, right? So we can do the full accurate loadout at some point in the future, but the bazooka will probably have significantly better range than the Piat does, so it'll play out a bit differently. And then of course we've got the sticky dynamite. You probably saw a few clips back there of me chucking sticky dynamite around corners and getting kills. I think the gameplay with dynamite is very cheesy. It's very powerful, and the assault class has got so many explosive assets available to it. It's one of the classes that just gives you so many options to kill your enemies, where other classes feel very, very limited by comparison. So giving a class a rocket launcher and sticky dynamite and then grenades on top of that, I mean, you've got 3 different types of explosives to take out your enemies, and it's really just a matter of deciding which one you feel like using in any particular moment. I think the assault class is definitely one of the most powerful classes in the game. Sticky dynamite is very good for, especially for infantry maps. You'd think that it would be mostly geared towards taking out vehicles like C4 in previous games, but I find it even more effective at dealing with infantry threats or blowing up entire buildings that guys are hiding in. Not to be underestimated under any circumstance, and I'm a huge fan of the sticky dynamite. I generally don't even use the frag grenade rifle, even though it's incredibly good, just because the sticky dynamite's a little bit more versatile, just for blowing up buildings, blowing up tanks, blowing up whatever. Now here we are defending on Narvik Breakthrough, and the Piat's getting a little bit of extra usage against armored vehicles. The M1A1 has been a fun weapon. Again, it's not my favorite because of the playstyle, but that's not to say that it's not insanely good and potentially one of the more annoying weapons to fight against, because its weakness really is only close range, and even at that, it's not bad at close range, right? Medium, long range, its accuracy is insane, and if you're up against a good player who can take advantage of aiming for the head, you're going to drop very fast. So the only way you can beat this weapon really is to get in close range with a weapon that shoots faster. Fast-firing medic weapon or a fast-firing full auto assault weapon, that's what will beat this. Otherwise, you're kind of out of luck at most medium, even medium longish ranges. It's going to be hard fighting the M1A1. It's got decent time to kill, but if the player you're fighting has the accuracy to back it up, this thing just elevates itself to a new playing field. It's also a weapon you're probably going to see more frequently because it's very easy to obtain with the assault class. It's a low rank weapon, so you can grab it, upgrade it, no problem. This will be a gun that many players are using at the start of the game, so you'll probably be fighting it a bit more than you think. So it makes sense to sort of use the weapon, understand it, so at the very least you can understand what you're up against when you're fighting players that are using this gun. I recommend trying it out for yourself. I recommend trying out most weapons in Battlefield 5. It's an absolute blast to play in the majority of situations. There aren't too many bad situations for the M1A1. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave your loadout comments down below. I'll pick one of the top ones for next week's episode, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.